Battlestar Galactica is one of the best sci-fi series ever made. So, of course you would want to learn more about the starships and vehicles that feature in the show. What better way of doing this than in a video that is over 1 hour long? Welcome to the Hangar Bay's Battlestar Galactica Explained video that is over 1 hour long. Now we've cut out some of the slow moments to keep this video all about the lore of BSG. Watch at your own pace or use the YouTube chapter system and pick a specific point to start at. Grab a popcorn, get your favourite drink and set condition 1 throughout the ship. Here we go. Today, we're talking about Battlestar Galactica once again. Throughout the reimagined series, we mainly focus on the Battlestar Galactica, a Jupiter-class Battlestar in the colonial fleet. However, we've also seen the Battlestar Pegasus. But that's not all. Other Battlestars are seen and mentioned before. Most of them were destroyed in the fall of the 12 colonies. So let's go over every known Battlestar in Battlestar Galactica. While you're here, consider supporting the Hangar Bay and the development of our YouTube videos by becoming a YouTube member. Simply hit that join button to learn more. Remember, for the latest videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, while you're here, what would you name a Battlestar if you were to command one? Comment your answers below. First, let's talk about the Jupiter-class Battlestars in Battlestar Galactica. The Jupiter-class Battlestar design was based on the previous Artemis-class model and was designed to be a hybrid of a battleship and a carrier. Initially, 12 Jupiter-class Battlestars were ordered into production, one to represent each of the 12 colonies of Kobol. This was part of the Articles of Colonization. The Battlestar Archon was a Jupiter-class Battlestar that served the colonial fleet during the First Cylon War. While it was attached to the Ghost Fleet, the Battlestar was ultimately destroyed in a Cylon ambush in the war's closing years. The Battlestar Archon would participate in the colonial offensive known as Operation Clean Sweep. While taking part in the engagements, the Archon and her accompanying Battlestar group came under heavy assault from Cylon forces. This forced the Colonial Admiralty to redeploy Battlestar Group 75 for immediate support for the Archon and her accompanying ships. While under heavy fire and ignoring orders from the Battlestar Galactica, the Archon jumped away to Sector 12 to join the Ghost Fleet. Shortly after redeployment, the Archon was ordered to pick up Dr. Becca Kelly from Raptor 909 and aid her mission. Before she could do so, the Archon was ambushed and destroyed by Cylon forces. While the Battlestar Galactica, which we'll talk about in a moment, is one of the most dedicated warships of the First Cylon War, Columbia easily comes close to this. The BC-70 Jupiter-class Columbia saw action during the First Cylon War in virtually all colonial campaigns. However, the final year of the Cylon War would be her downfall. Columbia was assigned to Operation Raptor Talon, along with Galactica and another unidentified Jupiter-class Battlestar. The operation saw the 3 colonial Battlestars and their fighters attempt an assault on Cylon forces over an ice planet. During the engagement, the midship defenses of Columbia failed and left her vulnerable. The Cylons took the opportunity and targeted the ship. While Colonial Vipers desperately tried to protect the Battlestar, Columbia sustained heavy damage with fires ripping through the top midsection of the mighty warship. Due to the intense firepower and the lack of those key defenses, Columbia ultimately is destroyed following a combination of heavy firepower and explosions ripping through the ship. Thankfully, before the destruction takes place, someone has enough time to warn the Colonial Viper pilots to break away from Columbia's airspace. The hull was ripped apart, sending fragments of a Battlestar into the planet below. Screams of the crew could be heard over the radios of the fighter pilots. The Battlestar Columbia marks the last known colonial ship to be lost during the First Cylon War. Shortly after the conflict of Operation Raptor Talon, the Cylons signed the peace accords and the war was over. The namesake of the Columbia would be remembered in the following decades. By the time of the fall of the 12 colonies, another unknown Battlestar was named Columbia. It was destroyed over Virgon during the fall. Perhaps the most famous Jupiter-class Battlestar was the Battlestar Galactica, designated as 75. Like her sister ships, Galactica's origins lie within the First Cylon War. Galactica was one of the original order of 12 Battlestars. As each Battlestar was intended to represent one of the 12 colonies, Galactica would represent Caprica. Galactica would see action during the First Cylon War, while under the command of Commander Silas Nash. The Battlestar would also take part in the Ghost Fleet offensive. Following the end of the Cylon War, and by the time of the fall of the 12 colonies, Galactica was scheduled for decommission. The intent was to refurbish it as a museum. With the Cylon attack on the 12 colonies, Commander William Adama and the crew of the Battlestar Galactica were thrown into the action. Galactica would head to Ragnar Anchorage to resupply for an attempted counterattack. Following the arrival of a civilian fleet, Galactica eventually left the 12 colonies behind in search of a new home. We've done a complete breakdown of the last Battlestar here on the Hangar Bay channel. You can find that link below. Another of the original Jupiter-class Battlestars was the Battlestar Athena. It was the 5th Battlestar to be completed for the colonial fleet. This ship initially belonged to Pycon. Just days before it was delivered, the colony of Pycon was attacked by Cylon assault fleets. It's previously been mentioned that Sultai of the Battlestar Galactica previously served aboard the Athena as a Viper pilot. The Battlestar Athena was known for taking part in some of the most desperate battles of the Cylon War, including the Battle of Gamaleon. This was a battle where Sultai, fresh from pilot training, shot down 3 Cylon fighters. The fate of the Battlestar Athena is unknown. The Jupiter-class known as Demeter is the 8th Battlestar to be delivered. It was assigned to Aerolon. Little is known about this Jupiter-class. It's referenced in the video game of Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. By the time of the fall of the colonies, this Battlestar was either destroyed or decommissioned. The Battlestar Prometheus was identified as a Jupiter-class Battlestar. However, little is known about this vessel. It is presumed either decommissioned or destroyed before the fall of the 12 colonies. Prometheus is only mentioned in the script of Battlestar Galactica Blood and Chrome. Sadly, it seems the Battlestar did not make it into the production properly. While the older Jupiter-class Battlestars from the First Cylon War would end up either destroyed or decommissioned, it is clear the Colonial Fleet did construct more of the Battlestar class. Based on the information we have, out of the original 12 Jupiter-class Battlestars produced, 9 were destroyed or lost in the First Cylon War, but he seemed to survive the war intact, with the Battlestar Galactica surviving until the fall of the 12 colonies. During the fall of the 12 colonies, at least 1 Jupiter-class Battlestar is seen destroyed over Caprica, while 3 unknown Jupiter-class Battlestars are destroyed over Scorpia during the Cylon attack on the shipyards. It's possible that other Jupiter-class Battlestars were also produced after the war, and then destroyed around other colonies and military bases during the Cylon attack on the 12 colonies. Before we move on to the other Battlestars, we know there was an unknown Jupiter-class Battlestar taking part in the Ghost Fleet offensive. This vessel is not identified by name, but it was either destroyed or decommissioned. The Orion class is often debated on whether it is actually a Battlestar or not. Some think of the Orion class as a pocket Battlestar, but most assume the vessel design is that of a support or assault ship. We'll list the ship here anyway to save a debate, this time around. The Orion class came in at a length of 359.6 meters, a width of 104.2 meters, and a height of 111.9 meters. Currently, the only known Orion class is the assault ship Osiris. Like other Orion class vessels, the Osiris was pulled from near retirement by the Colonial Fleet in their desperate attempt to combat the Cylon forces. During the closing years of the Cylon War, the Osiris was part of the Ghost Fleet offensive, a covert operation by Colonial Fleet Command to deal a crippling blow to Cylon forces by using ships that were faked as being destroyed or lost in combat. Osiris was dispatched to an ice planet which was within Cylon territory. While initially using her stealth systems to evade detection, Commander Ozar took the Osiris to engage a Cylon Basestar. Being badly outmatched, the Osiris sustained damage from the opening salvo of the Basestar, disabling the Orion class's nuclear weapon launch doors. With crippling damage, and the Viper fighters being outnumbered 10 to 1, Commander Ozar set a collision course and rammed the Basestar. After a successful ram, Ozar manually detonated the nuclear weapons, destroying the Osiris and the Cylon Basestar. It seemed that after the First Cylon War, the Orion class was likely retired, as none are seen during the fall of the 12 colonies. The Valkyrie-class Battlestar was commonly regarded as a new design, but in reality, the vessel's design had been in service to the individual colonies before the unification. As a much smaller warship, the Valkyrie-class measured a length of 647.8 meters, a width of 232.9 meters, and a height of 68.3 meters. The design of the Valkyrie-class seems to have been created as a light strike and reconnaissance ship. It was first deployed during the First Cylon War, but due to its versatility, many vessels remained in service and were active by the time of the fall of the 12 colonies. At some point before the fall, the Valkyrie-class was undergoing an update with a new design, which we'll designate as Flight 2. The main identifier for this new version of the vessel design was a spoiler-light winglet above the upper engine assembly. We'll go over the known Valkyrie-class Battlestars in a moment. However, we know of 5 Valkyrie-class Flight 1 Battlestars being destroyed at Scorpion Fleet shipyards during the fall of the colonies, and 2 Flight 2 vessels. 1 Valkyrie Battlestar was destroyed over Caprica. By the time of the fall of the 12 colonies, the Battlestar Yashaman was a Valkyrie class in service to the Colonial Fleet. It seemed that during the fall, the Yashaman acted as a flagship for Caprica's Orbital Defense Patrol, which did consist of 3 Valkyrie-class Battlestars. Moments before 0 hour, the Yashaman detected Cylon Basestars and would relay this information to Caprica Control. During the confusion, the Yashaman was informed that the Cylons had infiltrated their systems and that Caprica Control's Dreadus was offline. With this, Yashaman initiated an unauthorized attack run. Due to the Cylons infiltrating the command navigation program, the Ashman suffered a total system failure and was taken offline. It is presumed that the Valkyrie-class and her other battlegroup ships were destroyed in the attack. Perhaps the most well-known Valkyrie-class was the Battlestar Valkyrie. This vessel was a relic of the First Cylon War, but the ship was continually upgraded to maintain usefulness in the colonial fleet. As part of Battlestar Group 41, the Valkyrie saw action in classified operations, as was the Capricorn Defense Patrol. At one point, the Valkyrie was under the command of William Adama. Colonial Fleet Admiral Peter Corman ordered the Valkyrie to take part in a Black Ops mission. The Colonial Fleet Command had grown suspicious of the Cylon armament and was actively pushing the President to keep modernization of the fleet, to keep up with the hypothetical enemy. Per orders, Valkyrie jumped to the armistice line and launched a stealth-style recon craft across the border. It seems the Cylons detected the craft almost immediately. Commander Adama was forced to fire a missile at his own ship to prevent the Cylons from discovering a breach of the Scimitar peace accords. Later, the Valkyrie was destroyed above Caprica during the fall of the 12 colonies. During the First Cylon War, the Artemis class was a type of battlestar that was in service before the unification of the 12 colonies. It predates the development of the Jupiter-class Battlestar. Before the introduction of the Jupiter-class, the Artemis class was the heaviest warship fielded by the colonies of the Cyrenus system. The design of the Artemis class revolutionized the warship design philosophy of the 12 colonies. Its impact can still be seen, even more than half a century later, in the post-war Mercury-class Battlestar. The Artemis class measured at 1,084.5 meters in length, 442.5 meters in width, and 145.7 meters in height. We don't actually know the names of any Artemis-class Battlestars at the moment. However, a model display of one of these vessels was on board the Battlestar Galactica as part of a museum display on the First Cylon War. During the interwar period, the colonial fleet developed and produced the Mercury-class Battlestar. The goal was to supplement and eventually replace the aging Jupiter-class Battlestar design. At a length of 1,849 meters, a width of 734.9 meters, and a height of 330.9 meters, the Mercury-class provided upgrades in virtually every category. This included enhanced fighter carrying capacity and increased firepower for ship-to-ship combat. Before we talk about the Mercury-class Battlestar Pegasus, we don't actually know how many Mercury-class vessels were in service to the colonial fleet. It appears this design may have been quite costly, therefore not many were produced. One Battlestar that was mentioned during the fall of the 12 colonies is the Battlestar Atlantia. The Battlestar Atlantia was in service to the colonial fleet during the fall of the 12 colonies. During the Cylon attack, the Atlantia survived the initial assault, and with the destruction of Pycon Fleet headquarters, Admiral Nagala took personal command of the fleet, establishing the Atlantia as his flagship. The Atlantia was then destroyed by Cylon forces. It's never been identified what type of Battlestar class the Atlantia actually is. However, given that Admiral Nagala placed his flag on the Atlantia, it is highly likely the vessel was a Mercury-class Battlestar. Years prior to the fall of the 12 colonies, the Battlestar Pegasus was under the command of Rear Admiral Helena Kane. The Pegasus was able to survive the fall of the 12 colonies, as she was docked at Scorpio Fleet shipyards for a refit. As such, the command navigation program had been taken offline. When the Cylon forces arrived and commenced their attack, the Pegasus was able to make an emergency jump. Damage was sustained to the ship, but it escaped before almost being destroyed. Once confirmation of the destruction of the 12 colonies was received, Pegasus, under Admiral Kane, commenced a series of guerrilla attacks against Cylon forces. Kane's determination to fight the Cylons, who destroyed the colonies, led her to ransack a civilian fleet for spare parts and engineering personnel. Eventually, the Battlestar Pegasus met up with the civilian fleet, which was protected by the Battlestar Galactica, the other surviving colonial Battlestar. Pegasus brought supplies and more military strength to Galactica's ragtag fleet. With the death of Admiral Kane and the promotion of William Adama, Pegasus was eventually placed under the command of Lee Adama. The ship was finally destroyed during the Battle of New Caprica, when Commander Lee Adama returned to save the Battlestar Galactica. Lee had left all his Vipers behind to protect the civilian fleet. As such, the Pegasus was without any cover from Cylon forces, and sustained heavy damage. In its final act, the Pegasus was set on a collision course and collided one of the Cylon Basestars, destroying it within seconds as a result of internal explosions. Due to the explosion of the Battlestar, the starboard flight pod then collided with a second Basestar, also destroying it along with several Cylon raiders. Throughout Battlestar Galactica's history, several colonial Battlestars are mentioned but not identified. The Battlestar Solaria was one of these vessels. It was in service to the colonial fleet during the fall of the 12 colonies. Like the Battlestar Atlantia, the Cylon survived the destruction of Pycon Fleet headquarters. Admiral Nagala ordered the ship to converge on Virgon to link up with Atlantia. Soon after this, the Cylon was disabled by the virus in the CMP and destroyed in orbit of Virgon by Cylon forces. Another unidentified Battlestar was the Battlestar Triton. The vessel was in service to the colonial fleet following the First Cylon War and was assigned to the Battlestar Group 39. This saw the vessel as part of the Aerial Combat 5th Division. Before the fall of the 12 colonies, Junior Lieutenant Cara Frey served aboard the Triton as a Viper pilot. Commander James Jonathan filed disciplinary charges against her. By the time of the fall of the 12 colonies, the Triton was still in service. Lieutenant Alex Crashdown Cortero was an ECO and Raptor pilot, a part of Triton's crew. With the destruction of Pycon Fleet headquarters, the Battlestar Triton, along with the Atlantia, Columbia, and Solaria, gathered around Virgon and were destroyed by Cylon forces. A second vessel was called the Battlestar Columbia, likely being named after the Jupiter-class Battlestar Columbia we mentioned earlier. What class of Battlestar this is was not made clear, as it is not seen on screen. It appears that this Columbia was in service for at least a decade before the fall of the 12 colonies. William Adama, at the rank of Colonel, served on the Columbia for 4 years, before being reassigned to the Valkyrie. The Columbia was also used as a testbed for the Viper Mark 7, when it was in its experimental stages. Chief Galen Tyrrell served as deck chief before eventually moving over to the Battlestar Galactica. When the Cylons launched their surprise attack, Columbia was ordered to join Admiral Nagala's task force. Due to the Cylons using a backdoor in the command navigation program, the task force, including the Battlestar Columbia, was destroyed over Virgon without putting up a fight. Another Battlestar we don't see on screen, but rather from the comic, is the Kronos-type Battlestar Kronos. This is from the Battlestar Galactica Pegasus comic book. It seems that Kronos is the first Battlestar to be destroyed by enemy fire in almost 40 years, being attacked and destroyed only several days before the fall of the 12 colonies. The Kronos had been dispatched following Colonial Fleet Command receiving a faint signal from Lieutenant Daniel Novacek, who had been presumed missing in action several years earlier. The Kronos headed to the Cylon border and came under attack from Cylon forces. It is presumed the Cylons were testing out their backdoor for the command navigation program, and the Kronos was destroyed by several nuclear warheads. Another Battlestar design originated from the Battlestar Galactica Pegasus comic book, specifically the Zodiac type. This Battlestar type was only seen docked at the Colonial Fleet Hub. The book known as The Science of Battlestar Galactica makes reference to both the Battlestars Bellerophon and Ramses. We don't see these on screen. We know the names of several Colonial Battlestars in the series, however, these are only typically mentioned in the background or production material. Here are the names anyway, but keep in mind we don't know the class of Battlestar these ships belong to. We have a Battlestar Erasmus, Serenader, Defender, Night Flight, Maximilian, Guaninu, Presidential, Sophisius, Savior, Esseron, Catalyst, Marksman, Galena, Stargazer, and another called Catalyst, the Phoenix, and finally the Battlestar Universal. A big thank you to the Battlestar Galactica wiki team for the content used in this video. Also, we'd like to thank the mod makers for Battlestar Galactica Fleet Commander, which is a mod for Homeworld. You can check out the links to both the wiki and the game mod down below in the video description. Today, we're talking about the Jupiter-class Battlestar, represented by the BS-75 Galactica in the reimagined series of Battlestar Galactica. The ship has become one of science fiction's most iconic designs. But what goes on behind the armor plating, or makes the Jupiter-class tick? Today we give you a full breakdown of the technical information, story of the ship, and the behind the scenes design. Remember to hit that subscribe button for the latest videos. Let us know what you think of this Battlestar in the comments below. And, while you watch, what would you call your Battlestar? Comment your answer. At 1,438.6 meters long, 536.8 meters wide, and 183.3 meters high, the Battlestar design was regarded as a space-going Leviathan. The design of the Jupiter-class Battlestar can be broken down into two sections, the main hull and the twin flight pods for small craft deployment. Crew complement-wise, at least 5,000 crew members were stationed aboard Jupiter-class Battlestars when the First Cylon War occurred. Following the end of the Cylon War, the crew complement per Battlestar was drastically reduced. At the time of the fall of the 12 colonies, new Battlestar designs such as the Valkyrie-class and the Mercury-class have around 2,500 to 3,000 crew members. The main hull comprised the bulk of the Battlestar design. We can divide this into 3 sections. The foresection was known as the Alligator Head. This contained much of the living and crew areas. Locations such as the CIC, War Room, Observation Deck, and the Pilot's Rec Room were located here. Sickbay was also within the section, along with other facilities and numerous airlocks for access in and out of the Battlestar. Within the foresection, the Battlestar also stored her main water tanks and water transfer hatches. The midsection of the Jupiter-class housed the main flight decks and the flight pod retraction systems. There was also a service area for transferring fighters, like Vipers, from flight pod to flight pod. This section also housed the primary gun batteries, missile launch tubes, support systems, and corresponding ammunition stores. Finally, the stern section of a Battlestar would contain the engine room. Here, access to the engine pods and FTL drives were located. Some facilities allowed engineering and other access to maintain the Battlestar propulsion system. The most critical feature of a Battlestar was the flight pods. These were designed to launch Viper fighters and Raptors and then retrieve these small craft. Additionally, other small transports, such as Colonial 1, were able to land and dock within the flight pods. In a unique design, the flight pods of the Jupiter class are designed to retract into the ship's main body. This was primarily done for FTO operations and support ship transfers. While the Battlestar conducts normal operations and engages in combat missions, the flight pods are extended out to provide a safe landing and support area for the Battlestar Combat Air Patrol. Airlocks are also located within the flight pods, allowing docking to other Battlestars or space stations to transfer personnel or equipment. Each flight pod of a Jupiter class is comprised of 2 main decks for flight operations. The upper deck is the landing bay. This extends the full length of a flight pod. The lower launch bays provide around 40 launch tubes per pod, so the Jupiter class has around 80 launch tubes at its disposal. The hangar deck is located under the landing bay. This is where fighter maintenance is situated. The hangar deck can be used for refueling, repair, rearming, and launch operations. It also runs the length of the flight pod. Vipers typically make their landing approach from the stern of the Battlestar. In typical operating situations, a fighter would make a slow turn into the landing bay and commence a landing on a designated landing pad. The Jupiter class allows for combat landings in emergencies, such as combat engagements. In this event, a Viper fighter lands at high speed and uses its landing skids to stop. 6 main rear-facing sublight engines propelled a Jupiter-class Battlestar. These were mounted on the outer hull. 2 were located on the dorsal side, while the others were also on the ventral surface. The Battlestar design also had small maneuvering thrusters that were also scattered throughout the ship to allow for quicker maneuvers in combat scenarios. 2 FTL drives were installed, which allowed the Battlestar to access faster than light travel. These FTL engines were housed within the rear section of the Battlestar and could be accessed by personnel for maintenance and repairs. At the time of construction, the FTL engines of the Jupiter class were considered state-of-the-art by colonial forces. However, they did lack in comparison to Cylon-designed FTL engines. Still, a Jupiter class's FTL is rather accurate. It can place the Battlestar within a dense fleet or into the freefall of a planetary atmosphere. It should be worth noting, a Battlestar class is not designed for atmospheric operation, but the FTL can jump within atmosphere. Designed for war, the Jupiter class was heavily armed during the First Cylon War. In the original design configuration, anywhere between 24 to 50 anti-ship gun turrets were mounted, 2 apiece on the hull. These are found on the dorsal and ventral surfaces of the main hull, as well as on the ventral surface of the bow. The 2 guns in each turret fire in tandem for maximum effect. These anti-ship turrets are somewhat effective against Cylon Basestars. While designed for anti-ship, the firearms can use both flak ammunition and high explosive anti-capital ship shells. Each turret can engage in barrage strategies and salvo fire. 514-point defense turrets, again mounted 2 apiece, are located on the flight pods and other surfaces of the Battlestar. These are armed with explosive rounds in bursts to provide flak field defense for the Battlestar. Located in the dorsal main hull are 12 launch tubes, which can carry multiple nuclear warheads. The Jupiter class also considered Vipers and Raptors as part of her arsenal. While initially using Mark II Vipers, the Mark VII Vipers remain compatible with the Jupiter class launch and recovery facilities. Due to the outbreak of the Cylon War, the Jupiter class Battlestar was deliberately designed to avoid the use of networked computer systems. As such, the Battlestar's primary computer was not networked to prevent hacking. The Cylons were adept at infiltrating and subverting colonial computer systems. Designed to operate for long periods without a resupply, the Jupiter class was designed with endurance in mind. As such, the Battlestar has onboard water purification capabilities. Without emergencies, the Battlestar can operate for several years before having to replenish her water supplies. The Jupiter class also appears to have ammunition assembly capabilities within her armory. The ships potentially have a small fabrication facility on board as well. The Jupiter-class Battlestar is shown to be able to operate even when sustaining a massive amount of damage. This is evidenced by the Battlestar Galactica's continuing effectiveness at defending her civilian fleet years after the fall of the 12 colonies. Even after a deadly atmospheric FTL jump and then being in a heavily damaging space battle, the Galactica has proved the Jupiter-class design was built to last. One of the biggest differences with the Jupiter-class is how we find the ship when she was commissioned and when we find Galactica at the decommissioning. Notable differences is the Galactica has most of the hull plating armor removed, exposing what is commonly referred to as the ribbing in the armor design. Additionally, the Galactica in her prime sported more gun turrets, hence the armament could be anywhere from 24 main guns to 50. The Jupiter-class Battlestar was one of the first designs of the colonial fleet. It was designed and created in the very early days of the First Cylon War, shortly after the Articles of Colonization, which would unite the 12 colonies. As such, 12 Jupiter-class Battlestars were ordered to be built, with one being provided to each colony. The lead ships included the Battlestar Galactica, Columbia, Athena, and Archeron. While the design initially proved to be a valuable asset during the First Cylon War, the Jupiter-class did not fare so well. By the time the war ended, only the Galactica, Athena, and another unnamed ship survived, according to records. However, despite this, and likely fearing another attack, the colonial fleet would commission new Jupiter-class Battlestars, likely to replace the ones that were lost. By the time of the fall of the 12 colonies, which was almost 40 years following the First War, several Jupiter-class Battlestars were still in service to the colonial fleet, but had been upgraded with newer technology. They were slowly being phased out in favour of the newer and more advanced Mercury-class and Valkyrie-class Battlestars.
To Galactica, best ship in the fleet. To Galactica.
The Battlestar Galactica was perhaps the most famous Battlestar, and it represented the Jupiter-class line of ships. As such, the Jupiter-class was sometimes referred to as a Galactica-type Battlestar. The ship remained in service from its introduction during the First Cylon War until after the fall of the 12 colonies. While other Jupiter classes would receive new upgrades following the end of the First War, Galactica remained in her original configuration by its official decommissioning. Her active career was drawing to a close. As such, the colonial fleet chose not to scrap Galactica, but rather turn her into a living museum to the original Cylon War. This conversion was overseen by her final commander, William Adama. The starboard flight pod had already been converted into a pressurized museum. With the return of the Cylons and the fall of the 12 colonies, Commander William Adama, a veteran of the First Cylon War, brought Galactica back up to combat conditions and used her Mark II Vipers. In the opening engagements, the ship survived a direct hit by a nuclear missile and later commences an FTL jump to Ragnar Anchorage to replenish her empty ammunition stores. The Battlestar would later lead a ragtag fleet of civilian ships away from the 12 colonies to escape the Cylons. In this, Galactica became both a protector and provider for her civilian convoy. For example, due to its water purification facilities, the Battlestar provides the civilian fleet with most of its water. Galactica's first offensive against the Cylons was a success, successfully securing a Tilium fuel mining and processing plant in the process. With the arrival of the Mercury-class Battlestar Pegasus, a much advanced design, 6 months into the exile of a fleet, Galactica is eventually resupplied with military assets. We've done a full breakdown of a Mercury-class Battlestar here on the Hangar Bay. Check out that video for more Battlestar information. Admiral Kane of the Pegasus would take command of the fleet and oversee Galactica during her reign. The two Battlestars would work together to destroy Cylon fleet, which contained a support ship known as the Resurrection Ship. Following Kane's death, President Laura Roslin promoted William Adama to the rank of Admiral, therefore restoring Adama's fleet command. With the founding of a new Caprica colony, the Galactica and Pegasus were assigned to the planet's orbital defense. In the 1 year the ships were stationed here, most crew had transferred off the vessels to live on the planet's surface. This proved to be a mistake. The Cylons returned, and both Battlestars had to jump away from an overwhelming force. Under Admiral Adama, Galactica returned during the Battle of New Caprica and commenced rescue operations. This was done by jumping the aging Jupiter class into the atmosphere of New Caprica. The Battlestar plummets to the planet's surface from an altitude of 100,000 feet. Adama launches all of the Vipers, and then Galactica jumps back into orbit. During the space battle, Galactica is overtaxed, outgunned, and faces destruction. Thankfully, the Battlestar Pegasus arrives to save the day. Pegasus was initially ordered to remain behind and protect the civilian fleet. Pegasus' arrival was instrumental in the survival of Galactica, as it allowed the Battlestar to get the FTL drive back online and escape with the civilians from the surface in New Caprica. Pegasus was unlucky on the other hand. The ship did not launch any Vipers, leaving him behind to protect the civilian fleet. The Mercury-class is ultimately destroyed when ramming a Cylon Basestar, following the crew abandoning the ship. This leaves Galactica the sole surviving colonial Battlestar protecting humanity. Galactica bears the scars of the Battle of New Caprica for her continued service. With the loss of Pegasus, Galactica's bolstered crew along with her air wing. The damage is so extensive, the executive officer, Colonel Sol Tai, suggests it would take 6 weeks in dry dock to get the dents out of a ship. It does indicate that actual repairs, if possible, would likely take months, and a battle such as New Caprica would not be possible again. Galactica would survive multiple other engagements during her lifespan of protecting humanity. Once again, she takes up the mantle of protector and escorts the civilian fleet in a quest for a new home. The ship is almost lost to a band of mutineers after discovering a ruined planet called Earth. At this time, multiple tears in the FTL engine room chambers are discovered. It shows that Galactica has sustained critical damage, and the Battlestar's structural integrity is faltering. The decision is eventually made to abandon ship, with the discovery of Galactica is dying from old age. Even Cylon repair solutions only prolong the inevitable. Galactica's final mission is one of rescue. Admiral Adama leads a volunteer crew on Galactica to rescue the child known as Hera from a Cylon colony. This is Galactica's last battle, as the Battlestar sustains critical damage but ultimately wins the day. During the Battle of the Colony, Galactica rams the colony mothership and allows the Marine strike teams to board the Cylon ship. This cripples the bow section of the Battlestar. During the battle, the starboard flight pod is also crippled as part of the attack plan. In the final move, Caraphase jumps Galactica to a new set of coordinates. The FTL jump is Galactica's last, as her hull breaks in the spine with multiple structural failures causing her FTL ability to fail. However, Galactica has arrived in the vicinity of the habitable world, which allows her humanity and Cylon to settle a new world and begin afresh. The final fate of a once great Battlestar is that she is flown into the sun, along with a civilian fleet. Admiral Adama is the last to leave the ship. Whilst the most famous Jupiter-class Battlestar was known as the Battlestar Galactica, we also know of other ships in the class line. The Battlestar Athena was either decommissioned or destroyed. The Battlestar Columbia was destroyed during Operation Raptor Talon. The Battlestar Demeter was also destroyed or decommissioned. Prometheus was again destroyed or decommissioned. 3 unknown Jupiter-class were destroyed over Scorpia during the fall of the 12 colonies. 1 unknown Jupiter-class was destroyed over Caprica during the fall. Finally, 1 unknown was destroyed taking part in the Ghost Fleet during the First Cylon War. Eric Chu designed the exterior of the Jupiter-class Battlestar Galactica. Chu also designed the exterior of the modern Cylon Raiders and Cylon Basestars, along with the new design of the Cylon Centurions. The book called Battlestar Galactica, Designing Starships, gave us a look at some early concept work of the Galactica design. Original concept sketches from Eric Chu show the trial and error process of trying to create the look of a new modern Galactica. It's interesting to note that the design of the Jupiter class kept the same distinctive curved yet angular bow of the ship. This is the biggest element that will tie the modern Galactica to the original one from 1978. When designing the new Galactica for the reimagined series, Chu faced the difficult challenge of pleasing the devoted fanbase of the original series. The goal was to keep some of the ships in keeping with the original designs, but at the same time, they would need to be original and bring something new to a modern program. Eric Chu would draw inspiration from an industrial design book. This included ribbed metal vases by Andrea Branzi. As such, the design inspiration can be seen in many of the designs and the final version of the Battlestar Galactica that appeared in the reimagined series. With the reintroduction of a modern Battlestar Galactica in the reimagined series, there was no official class designation. As such, ships like Galactica were typically referred to as a Galactica-type Battlestar. However, with the release of The Science of Battlestar Galactica, the class name was revealed as a Jupiter-class Battlestar design. One of the best things about Battlestar is the continuity of damage between major engagements. Unlike, say, Star Trek Voyager, where after a massive battle, the ship would be like new the following week, the SG ran with the damage sustained. One of the prime examples of this is following the Battle of New Caprica. You can visually see the Galactica is heavily damaged with burn marks on her armor. One main gun is also missing. Look at these renders on screen and you'll see what I mean. Today, we're talking about the Ghost Fleet Offensive in Battlestar Galactica. This was a highly classified operation conducted by the Colonial Fleet in an attempt to deceive the Cylon forces and ultimately strike them where it would hurt. The plan was a success, with multiple Colonial Battlestars and vessels taking part at various stages. So, what actually was the Ghost Fleet Offensive? Remember, for the latest videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and let us know what you think of these ships in the comments below. Oh, and while you're here, which Battlestar would you like to command? Or support ship, either or works. Make sure you get commenting. Okay, let's go. The Ghost Fleet Offensive appears to have been initiated around the 10th year of the First Cylon War. This would be around 42 years before the fall of the 12 colonies. As colonial forces were facing more and more defeats from the relentless Cylon forces, a desperate plan was hatched by Colonial Fleet Command. The goal was to feed the Cylons misinformation about both the Ghost Fleet's position and the ships involved in the initiative. During the war, many Battlestars and other vessels were presumed lost or destroyed in battles against the Cylons. These included the Battlestar Valkyrie and at least the heavy cruiser Loki. While many, including both the general colonial public and the Cylon forces, thought these ships were gone, it was actually all part of a secret plan. In reality, many of these ships were selected to form a secret fleet behind the Cylon's lines. This was the Ghost Fleet. Once the word was given, this fleet would strike out with surprise attacks against key locations within Cylon-controlled space, aiming to deal a critical blow against a ruthless enemy force. Due to being fed misinformation, the Cylon forces scrambled their ships to different locations, but by the time they arrived, the Ghost Fleet was long gone. Ultimately, the confusion allowed the Ghost Fleet to strike. Following the Battle of Djerba, where Dr. Kelly uploaded her misinformation to the Cylon communications array, the Colonial Ghost Fleet launched its offensive. The Battlestar Galactica would join the Ghost Fleet following this battle. According to Galactica's CEO, Commander Silas Nash, the fleet inflicted significant damage on every Cylon base in 5 sectors. While a military and strategic success, the strike also provided a much needed morale boost for the colonial forces. Due to the effect of the Ghost Fleet, it effectively put the Cylons on the defensive for the first time in quite a while. Several known colonial vessels were part of the Ghost Fleet, whether temporarily or permanently. We haven't identified every vessel within the fleet, but here are some of the ones we are aware of. A Jupiter-class Battlestar known as Archeron was formerly attached to the Ghost Fleet. Unfortunately, the vessel never actually took part in the attack, as it was lost of all hands before it took place. The Archeron participated in a colonial offensive, Operation Clean Sweep, during the First Cylon War. During the known engagement, it came under attack from Cylon forces. Archeron ignored the orders of the redeployed Battlestar Group 75 and proceeded to jump away to Sector 12 to join the Ghost Fleet. Following redeployment, the Archeron was ultimately destroyed in an ambush. The wreckage of the Battlestar was later encountered by Raptor 909. The Archeron had been ordered to pick up Dr. Becca Kelly from the Colonial Raptor, but it was destroyed before it had the chance. As such, it was not able to take part in the Ghost Fleet offensive. We've actually done a complete breakdown of the Jupiter-class Battlestar here on the Hangar Bay channel, as well as a video overview of every known Jupiter-class Battlestar. Check those out in our video playlist below. It would seem the Battlestar Valkyrie was a part of a Ghost Fleet offensive. This was a Valkyrie-class Battlestar that we have seen before, during the reimagined series of Battlestar Galactica. Valkyrie's presence in the Ghost Fleet was confirmed by the crew of Raptor 909, who identified it. Before the Battlestar Valkyrie came to be a part of the Ghost Fleet, it was involved in the battle over Canceron. During the tense engagement, Cylons heavily damaged the Valkyrie, and it was presumed destroyed by enemy forces. In fact, the Valkyrie had jumped away to the Ghost Fleet and had joined up with other colonial forces thought destroyed. Some of the Valkyrie's pilots were later assigned to the assault ship Osiris, which we'll talk about next. We've actually done a complete breakdown of the Valkyrie-class Battlestar here on the Hangar Bay channel. Check it out in our video playlist below. In another shot of the Ghost Fleet, we can actually see some other Valkyrie-class Battlestars, but they are not identified by name or markings. What would you call a Valkyrie-class Battlestar? Comment below. One Orion-class assault ship takes part in the Ghost Fleet offensive. This is the Osiris, which is fitted with stealth technology, but we will go over in a moment. The Orion-class assault ship came in at an approximate length of 359.6 meters, with a width of 104.2 meters and a height of 111.9 meters. Designated as a support vessel, it features lighter armaments than the colonial Battlestars. As such, it carried 12 primary dual kinetic energy weapons and 42 secondary dual KEWs. 6 missile tubes were loaded on board. Defensively, the Orion class lacked the thick armor plating that other vessels typically used. However, at least one ship of the Orion class, which was the Osiris, was fitted with stealth technology. It's unclear if this was present on other ships of the Orion class, or it was perhaps a war refit. While not perfect, the stealth coating allowed the ship to operate for several minutes near Cylon Basestars and other forces before being spotted. The trade-off of this system was increased heat within the ship, making for a less than ideal workspace for the Starship's crew. Once the Orion-class stealth had been detected, the support ship was able to use its 32 quad-point defense KW batteries to produce flak screens against incoming fighter craft and ordnance. Due to the ship's size, it only had room for a small complement of Viper fighters. However, it was also able to carry several Raptor multi-purpose craft on board. No flight pods were installed. Instead, a traditional style hangar space was installed under the engine assembly of the Orion class. Commanded by Commander Ozar, the Osiris was part of a Ghost Fleet and played a critical role in a secret colonial operation to mislead the Cylon forces. During the mission to deliver Dr. Kelly to the ice planet, the Osiris encountered Cylon Basestar and engaged it. Due to sustaining critical damage, the Osiris could not deploy its nuclear weapons. To ensure the mission's success, Commander Ozar set a collision course with the Basestar and rammed the Osiris into it. Once crash landed into the Cylon Basestar, Ozar detonated the Osiris' nuclear weapons manually, destroying the Osiris, the Basestar, Raiders, and all remaining colonial Vipers in the vicinity. The heavy cruiser Loki was one of the many ships in the Ghost Fleet. This vessel serves as both a heavy cruiser and a fleet support ship. While it was named for the shape-changing Norse god of mischief, the Loki was distinguished in the fleet by a 3-part hull beneath a domed upper structure. This terminated in a huge alligator head. The Loki appeared to measure 779 meters in length, 199 meters in width, and 145 meters in height. The vessel had an armament of 24 primary KWs, with standard armor plating and at least 2 landing bays for colonial Vipers and Raptors. The ship was propelled by 9 sublight drive engines and multiple maneuvering thrusters. According to the known information, the Loki was seriously damaged in combat with the Cylons around 42 BCH. With the planning of a Ghost Fleet offensive, the Loki was recorded as lost and presumed destroyed with all hands. In reality, the vessel was assigned to the Ghost Fleet staging grounds in Cylon-controlled space. We are aware of 3 additional Loki-type heavy cruisers participating, including the Cyclops PCS-73 and 2 unnamed vessels. All of these were a part of the Ghost Fleet. Following the mission to the ice planet, in which the Osiris was lost with all hands, the Jupiter-class Battlestar Galactica would join the Ghost Fleet. The Galactica ultimately took part in a strike against Cylon forces and survived. One of the many support vessels used by colonial forces was the Berserk class. 3 unknown vessels of the Berserk class were taking part in the Ghost Fleet offensive. The Berserk design was one of the largest non-Battlestar designs in service to the colonial fleet and had been used for many years. A unique feature of the Berserk class is what appears to be a detachable multi-mission package module. These were stored in the midsection of the hull. A Berserk class support ship measured a length of 841.2 meters, a width of 215 meters, and a height of 117.5 meters. Although it was a support vessel, it still carried armaments. These included 10 main dual KW turrets, along with 10 Seaworth dual KW batteries, and the standard colonial armor plating. 10 Viper launch tubes were also installed on board, allowing the Berserk class to launch Viper Mark 1s, Mark 2s, and Mark 3s. The exact fighter complement is currently unknown. The Defender-class fleet escort also took part in the Ghost Fleet offensive. One of these vessels was part of the fleet. Designated as an escort vessel, the Defender class measured at 553.6 meters, a width of 200.9 meters, and a height of 119.1 meters. It likely features an armament of primary KWs and ship-to-ship missiles. Likely point defense cannons, a standard on most colonial warships, would also be installed alongside armor plating for defense. A Defender-class escort also had 1 flight pod installed. The design could also accommodate colonial Raptors on board. While they were part of the Ghost Fleet, later on 2 Defender-class escorts would end up in the Battlestar Galactica's fleet following the fall of the 12 colonies. One of these is identified as the Adriatic. There is a little issue with the Defender class as seen in Battlestar Galactica. During the development of the series in 2004, the design of the Defender fleet escort was created at the wrong scale. As such, the CGI team would then scale the ship on a case-by-case basis. The same thing had happened to the Defender class in the Ghost Fleet. You can tell it is the wrong scale due to the engines looking somewhat out of place. When examining the CGI model, the scale is 1,442 meters in length, 523 meters in width, and 341 meters in height. Another colonial vessel design in the Ghost Fleet was the Demeter type. You may think this looks like the Osiris. It is actually a sister class to the Orion-class design, of which the Osiris is a part, as we have mentioned. But there are differences. The Demeter type is presumed to have launched around, if not before, the Orion-class design. As its sister class, the Demeter type carried Battlestar-grade weaponry and even more secondary batteries. At a length of 359.6 meters, the Demeter type was armed with 12 primary dual KWs and 50 secondary dual KWs. Defense systems included 32 quad-point defense KWs and armor plating. In terms of a small craft complement, 3 hangar bays were installed, which would allow for colonial Raptors. However, 18 Viper launch tubes were also present, allowing for the launch of colonial Vipers. The main armament comprised of 12 dual KWs, kinetic energy weapon batteries. While not the same caliber as a Jupiter-class, and close in caliber to the Valkyrie's primary batteries, they still pose a significant threat to smaller/medium Cylon vessels. Another of the colonial escort ship designs is the Alert type. Two of these vessels were taking part in the Ghost Fleet offensive. To be clear, the two Alert types that belong to the Ghost Fleet were the second configuration, known as Flight 2. The Alert was a purpose-built warship and was also a sister class of a Hornet type design, which we'll go over another day, maybe in the Lost Ships of Battlestar Galactica. Typically, the class design would serve as escorts to the larger Jupiter-class Battlestar designs. By the 10th year of the First Cylon War, at least one Alert type had been converted to serve as a hospital ship. An Alert Flight 2 type design measured approximately 270 meters in length, 37 meters in width, and 44 meters in height. As an escort, the vessel was armed with 4 main dual KWs and 31 secondary dual KWs. These weapons were the same caliber as those carried by both the Orion-class and the Demeter-class. 2 flight pods were installed on board, likely allowing Colonial Raptors and other small craft to dock on board. No Viper launch tubes were installed. The layers of thick armor are the ship's defense. One unknown Jupiter-class Battlestar was also participating in the Ghost Fleet offensive before the mission to the ice planet. It's not made clear which Jupiter-class Battlestar this actually is, as it's never been identified. Have you spotted a ship in the Ghost Fleet that you're not quite sure on? Comment down below and we'll see what we can do. Today, we're continuing our adventures into the universe of Battlestar Galactica. We're exploring the modern Cylon Basestar design. This was the primary capital ship of the Cylon forces at the time of the fall of the 12 colonies. The Cylon Basestar would perform a similar role as the colonial fleet's Battlestars, that being an armoured carrier and battleship hybrid. Remember, for the latest videos, hit that subscribe button. While you're watching this, comment on what Basestar design we should look at next. There's quite a few. Let us know what you think of this ship in the comments below. So say we all. At a length of 2,079.6 meters, with a width of 1,030.7 meters, and a height of 277.5 meters, the modern Cylon Basestar was a breakaway design from the Cylon Basestar designs of the First Cylon War. The modern Cylon Basestars dwarfed many of the colonial Battlestars. Above and below the central area of the Basestar are the rotating sections of the ship. Each section has 3 wings protruding from the center, which creates a Y shape. We would also class this design as the Basestar Type D, but is known as the modern Basestar or base ship. Now these sections house the Basestar's hangar decks. Cylon raiders are embedded within the wings to await launches. This design allows the raiders to quickly respond to both offensive and defensive missions from the Basestar. The Basestar wings can also be entered to reach the hangar deck area. This location is pressurized. The Basestar has sublight engines, which allow it to swiftly move around in orbit of planets. However, we don't actually see the engines on Cylon Basestars, like we do on colonial Battlestars. These ships seem to just float in universe. A Cylon Basestar was also fitted with a Cylon long-range FTL drive, controlled by both the hybrid and humanoid Cylons on board. Crew-wise, various models of humanoid Cylons will be stationed on board, along with the hybrid and hundreds of Centurions. As with most Cylon technology following the Cylon War, the Basestar is organic, and damage can be repaired like regenerating a wound. The inner parts of a modern Cylon Basestar have their organic elements exposed. For example, a colonial Raptor has been seen landing on the flesh of a Basestar. Weapons-wise, the modern Basestars are heavily armed. The Cylon Basestar is capable of firing both conventional missiles, nuclear missiles, and MIRVs. Around 168 missile launchers are located in the modern Basestar design. The Cylon Basestar design appears to lack point defense batteries, suggesting the Cylon ship relies heavily on its raider fighter complement to defend itself from attacking craft. While not as heavily armed as colonial Battlestars, the Basestar's quick tactics in launching a nuclear attack, followed by launching raider forces, can quickly cause critical damage to a Battlestar. The raider complement of a modern Cylon Basestar appears to be around 434 standard Cylon raiders. However, a modern Basestar also carries several heavy raiders as well. A Cylon Basestar, in conjunction with a Cylon raider, is able to serve as a platform for electronic warfare. The Basestar is capable of launching hacking attacks against networked computers in range. The Basestar is capable of shutting down a networked colonial Battlestar with relative ease, making the target undefended and easy to defeat. This tactic, while efficient and effective, is unable to work against a non-network target, such as a Jupiter-class Battlestar Galactica. A Cylon Basestar was primarily controlled by a Cylon that was incorporated into the Basestar itself. This was known as the Hybrid. The Hybrid is basically the Basestar. Due to the organic nature of the ship design, the Basestar is an extension of the hybrid's body and mind. While humanoid in appearance, the hybrid is seen as lesser by the other humanoid Cylons. Speaking of which, the humanoid Cylons oversee the command and control of the Cylon Basestars. All 7 models can be found issuing commands from a central command and control center. It is very similar to a Battlestar's combat information center. Cylons can interact with the Basestar's main computer by placing their hands in the basins within the center of the room. This contains a sort of liquid computer interface. Within this central area, a data stream for the Basestar can be found. This operates very much like a computer network. It interfaces with the hybrid and all aspects of the Basestar design and operation. Besides the command and control areas, the Cylon Basestar also possesses conventional rooms and hallways. While sleek, they are generally bland. It appears the Cylon design favours lighting. The sparse design nature is explained as the humanoid Cylons can project different surroundings in their minds. This both allows them to navigate the corridors more efficiently, but also provides them with a pleasing environment to work in. The modern Cylon Basestar was developed following the end of the First Cylon War, before the Cylon forces returned to annihilate the 12 colonies. The Cylons developed the modern Basestar to replace the earlier ships of the same name. While the original Cylon Basestars were developed using standard shipbuilding materials, the newer modern Type D Basestar design was constructed with hardened organic matter. These would then be operated by an organic Cylon, known as the hybrid, rather than traditional crew. With the development of a modern Basestar, the Cylons would spend years building up a new advanced military force to take on the colonial forces. It is possible that the Guardian Basestar led to the development of a modern Cylon Basestar. This is not quite clear, but the Guardian Basestar design shares some similarities to what would become the modern Cylon Basestar and the primary design used by the Cylon forces. The Guardian Basestar eventually broke away from the Cylon majority in favour of living out in the far reaches of space to avoid being shut down by the others. During the fall of the 12 colonies, the Basestars would serve as the primary offensive and defensive capital ship of the Cylon forces. While the modern Basestars were not as armoured as the colonial Battlestar designs, the use of a command navigational program exploit meant that no, if hardly any, Basestars were destroyed during the fall of the 12 colonies. The Cylon Basestars would launch nuclear missiles towards the 12 colonies, as well as eliminate the disabled colonial forces, including many Valkyrie and Jupiter-class Battlestars protecting the colonies. The Battlestar Galactica, an old Jupiter-class relic from the First Cylon War, successfully defended itself from the 3 Cylon Basestars during the Battle of Ragnar Anchorage. Following the swift defeat of the colonial fleet and the 12 colonies, a fleet of modern Basestars would continue to track and harass the Battlestar Galactica. Galactica was protecting a civilian refugee convoy. While this Cylon fleet pursued Galactica, eventually losing them once their tracking device was discovered, the majority of the Cylon fleet were spread out elsewhere. Following the exodus from the Cyrenus system, multiple Cylon Basestars would engage the Battlestar Galactica and eventually be forced to deal with the Battlestar Pegasus. The Battle of the Resurrection Ship would see the colonial forces of the Galactica and Pegasus win a significant victory against the Cylon forces. The Colonials ambushed and destroyed 2 modern Basestars and the Cylon Resurrection Ship. While the colonial forces suffered many losses during the New Caprica situation, the Cylons did also take a beating. The Battle of New Caprica saw 2 Cylon Basestars destroyed following the arrival of Battlestar Pegasus. However, the Cylons soon managed to cause crippling damage to the Mercury-class Battlestar as it protected the escape of Galactica and the civilians from the planet's surface. In one final act, Commander Leah Dharma set a collision course and abandoned his ship. As such, the Pegasus destroyed one of the Cylon Basestars in a direct ram, while the explosions of the ship caused its flight pod to collide with another Basestar, destroying it. The climactic battle of the colony did not see any Cylon Basestars present in the engagement. However, with the destruction of the colony, it is questioned if any modern Cylon Basestars were left. We're talking about Cylon loyalists here. We do know that one Cylon modern Basestar was active, which was crewed by Centurions who had been freed from slavery by the Cylon 2s, 6s, and 8s models. During the early days of the reimagined Battlestar Galactica series, the producers and production team worked under a network order that the new show should not look anything like the original from the 1970s. This order would inform a lot of design choices. Of course, when we look at colonial ship designs, this order was taken as more of a suggestion, especially when you look at the original Galactica and then the one in the reimagined series of Battlestar. However, the Cylon designers took the network orders to heart. While the human Cylons were perhaps the most dramatic change from the chrome toasters, the Starships and Cylon Raiders were completely redeveloped for the new adventure. While the original Cylon Basestar, which was known as a base ship, sported a dual saucer design, it worked really well with the 1970s aesthetic. Originally, the late Gary Hutzel, who was a powerhouse in visual effects work on television such as Star Trek, was talking with the Battlestar Galactica miniseries director Michael Reimer. The director described the new Cylons as highly evolved and feminine. Also would take that information and work into the design of a vessel. He noted in an interview that the idea popped into his head and he thought about the XY chromosomes. This informed the rotating structure of a modern Cylon Basestar. Hutzel charged concept artist Eric Chu with the high concept idea. Chu had already been working on the designs of the Galactica, the Cylon Raider, and other designs for the new series. Chu previously noted that the Basestars were likely one of the easiest he would work on. One drawing, on screen now, was then approved by the production team and would move forward. In the first and second seasons of the reimagined series of Battlestar Galactica, Eric Chu created the Cylon Basestar CGI model. The design of a modern Basestar is a little bit different here. However, with seasons 3 and 4 of the show, Pierre Druillet updated the CGI model to better reflect the interior design of a starship, which will then be shown on the upcoming episodes. Series creator, Ronald D. Moore, previously said that the exterior design of the Cylon Basestars was finished way before the interior ever was. In an interview with Hero Collector for the release of the Cylon Basestar model, Moore said that he envisioned the Cylons as clearly having some sort of organic component to a lot of their vessels. Unfortunately, he did confirm the team never got into discussions of how this worked when it came to the Basestar. That's our report on the modern Cylon Basestar design seen in the reimagined series of Battlestar Galactica. Be honest, did you prefer this design or did you prefer the classic Cylon Basestar? Don't forget to comment below what Basestar design we should look at next. Today, we're talking about a Battlestar class that many presumed was a modern Battlestar design, when it now appears to be one of the oldest. We're talking about the Valkyrie-class Battlestar, mainly seen in the series' background as a strike and reconnaissance Battlestar design. The Valkyrie class was first deployed during the First Cylon War, and has lasted even longer than the famed Jupiter-class Battlestar, even though she is not as powerful. Remember to hit that subscribe button for the latest videos. While you're watching, comment down below what you would name a Valkyrie-class Battlestar if you were to command one. Let us know what you think of this ship in the comments below. The Valkyrie-class Battlestar came in at a length of 649 meters, with a width of 234 meters and a height of 69 meters. While smaller than the likes of the Jupiter-class and Mercury-class Battlestar designs, the whole layout of the Valkyrie-class remained in a similar design style. For example, it features the alligator head, then a midsection of the flight pods attached, followed by the aft section with propulsion housing, which is where the main sublight engines were located along with the FTL drive. 4 rearwards facing sublight engines are mounted in pods onto the outer hull of a Battlestar. The engine pods are strategically placed. 2 are located on the vessel's dorsal surface and the other 2 on the ventral surface. Smaller maneuvering thrusters are located throughout the ship, allowing for quick and agile movements during combat scenarios and normal ship operations. Despite being a pre-Cylon War era design, the flight pods of the Valkyrie class do not retract like those found on the Jupiter-class Battlestars. The Valkyrie also has significantly less launching capabilities than its larger counterparts in the fleet. While typical Battlestar designs had launch tubes positioned on the sides of both flight pods, the Valkyrie class opted to incorporate 6 forward-facing launch tubes, 3 for each pod, at the front of each flight pod. This design was likely due to the smaller size of a Battlestar design. For example, the flight pods are only around 33.5 meters wide at their widest point. Perhaps due to the small size of a vessel, much of the main layout is exposed or semi-exposed on the underside of the ship, with the FTL drive being most prominent. The main engines also appear to be somewhat unarmoured, highlighting the class's vulnerability. This weakness would also be taken advantage of by the Cylons during a battle of Scorpion shipyards. This battle saw a single Cylon Raider, armed with only conventional missiles, exploit the weakness and destroy a docked Valkyrie-class Battlestar. Armament-wise, as a smaller Battlestar, the ships of the Valkyrie class do not possess the heavy turrets typically seen on both the Jupiter class and the Mercury class. The Valkyrie design is equipped with several smaller turrets strategically placed throughout the ship. This type of turret is complemented with multiple secondary and tertiary weapons to serve as a defense mechanism against incoming ordnance. The Valkyrie class was equipped with a main armament consisting of 12 main kinetic energy weapon batteries, and a secondary armament consisting of 4 single-gun KEWs, positioned on the dorsal side of each flight pod. These weapons likely provide a flak screen to protect the landing combat air patrol fighters from enemy attack during their landing. The Valkyrie class design would also have anti-missile and anti-fighter protection in the form of 41 dual KEW series batteries. While resembling the design of the main batteries, they were smaller and strategically positioned on the vessel's hull. These batteries actually served a dual function. They would act as the standard kinetic weapons, typically found in the Jupiter class, and a platform for launching colonial ship-to-ship missiles. In a smart tactical choice, the weapons were also placed between the sublight engines. It allowed for a near 360-degree protection coverage. This arrangement ensured the Valkyrie-class Battlestar was well equipped to defend itself from potential threats, like Cylon Raiders or incoming ordnance. The crew complement of a Valkyrie-class Battlestar is expected to be much smaller than that of a Jupiter-class Battlestar. While a Jupiter-class initially required 5,000 personnel, the Valkyrie would likely require a lot less than that due to its size. After the first Cylon War and the implementation of modern technology like networked computer systems, the crew size likely further decrease due to the new technology and automation. While no exact number is known, the Valkyrie class is expected to support multiple squadrons of Viper fighters and Raptor multi-purpose craft. While seen as a breakaway from the standard design, the placement of the launch tubes could enable the Valkyrie class to offer enhanced maneuverability and strategic positioning during combat operations. It is worth noting that due to the size of the flight pods and overall Valkyrie class design, the vessel lacks the capability to allow larger ships to dock inside of it. While taking part in the first Cylon War, the Valkyrie class would have had Viper Mark II and Mark III fighters in service. By the time of the fall of the 12 colonies, the Mark VII Vipers would be in service on board Valkyrie Battlestars, along with Raptors. Due to the Valkyrie class's initial introduction, we can presume its original design configuration lacked advanced computer technology. This could be compared to the Jupiter-class Battlestar. The fear was that Cylons would infiltrate the vessel via networked computer systems. However, it is presumed that nearly all of the Valkyrie-class Battlestars were heavily upgraded and refit by the time of the fall of the 12 colonies. This is evident as most Valkyrie-class Battlestars fell victim to the Cylon infiltration of the Command Navigation Program during the fall of the colonies. This program allowed the Cylons to remotely shut down the Battlestars and simply destroy them, leaving them with no defenses, including the fighter wings. Before the fall of the 12 colonies, the Colonial Fleet sought to upgrade the Valkyrie-class design. For example, they updated the class with a spoiler-like winglet hull section above the upper engine assembly. It's not entirely clear why this was added or what purpose it serves. Two of these types of Valkyrie-class Battlestars exist and were spotted docked at Scorpion Fleet yards during the fall of the 12 colonies. It's possible this was a recent addition or not a popular design, as other Valkyrie ships that were active during the fall did not feature this new hull attachment. The Valkyrie-class Battlestar design was introduced quite some time before the first Cylon War. For example, at least two Valkyrie-class vessels were in service to both the Caprica and Geminon navies. See our behind-the-scenes section for clarification on how this works within the universe of Battlestar Galactica. Regardless of the exact introduction to the Colonial Fleet, the Valkyrie class would participate in the first Cylon War and prove its worth. This is made evident by the fact that the Colonial Fleet still produces Valkyrie class designs by the time of the fall of the 12 colonies, which takes place around 40 years after the conclusion of the first Cylon War. With the presence of a Flight 2 variant of the Valkyrie class, which was the spoiler variant we mentioned during the technical analysis, it could be theorized that the Colonial Fleet was either refitting the design or building a new variation of it, further proving how practical the design was to the Colonials. During peacetime, the Valkyrie class operated more as a security and patrol vessel. The class appeared to be one of the most popular designs of the Colonial Fleet. Across history, at least 10 unique ships of the Valkyrie-class Battlestar have been recorded. Perhaps the most well-known Valkyrie-class Battlestar was the BS-41 Valkyrie. This Battlestar was in service to the Colonial Fleet and is considered a relic of the Cylon War. The ship was continually upgraded and refitted to maintain its usefulness to the fleet. The Valkyrie was constructed during the Cylon War, a conflict between the newly formed United Colonies of Kobol and the sentient Cylon labor force. The Valkyrie would be thrown into service during the conflict, taking part in a battle of the Cylons over the world of Canceron. During this engagement, the ship sustained heavy damage and was assumed to have been destroyed by the Cylons. In reality, the Colonial Fleet used this to their advantage. The Colonials began amassing a fleet of damaged ships. They were being repaired in deep space under radio silence. The plan was for these ships to lead a surprise assault on Cylon positions. It would become known as the Ghost Fleet Offensive. During this, some Valkyrie pilots were assigned to the Osiris, an Orion-class assault ship. Following the end of the first Cylon War, the Valkyrie remained in service to the Colonial Fleet. Many ships that served during the war fell victim to the major fleet shakeup, where vessels like the Battlestar Galactica were relegated to support roles. Around 2 years before the fall of the 12 colonies, the Valkyrie was now under the command of Commander William Adama. Under the orders of Admiral Peter Corman, she was to participate in a Black Ops mission. Becoming suspicious of a Cylon armament, the admirals of the Colonial Fleet were pushing President Richard Adar for a modernization of the fleet. The idea was to keep up to date with the hypothetical enemy. Per her orders from the admirals, Valkyrie jumped to the arms' line and launched a stealth star light reconnaissance craft. It seems the Colonial stealth technology was not as advanced as they thought it would be. The craft was immediately detected by what was thought to be Cylon forces as soon as it crossed the arms' line. They attacked the stealth star. Commander Adama was forced to fire a missile at his own ship. He needed to prevent the Cylons from recovering proof of the Colonials blatantly breaching the Simtar peace accords. Valkyrie would launch a ship-to-ship missile and destroy the stealth star, but the pilot managed to eject. This would be an event that would return to haunt William Adama many years later. From what was seen as a failure of the mission, Commander Adama was reassigned to command the obsolete Battlestar Galactica. He would be stationed there to oversee the aging Battlestar's final years before her decommissioning. By the fall of the 12 colonies, the Battlestar Valkyrie was under the command of a new commanding officer and was assigned to protect Capricorn airspace. Regarding the fate of the Valkyrie Battlestars, the actual Battlestar Valkyrie BS-41 was destroyed over Caprica during the fall of the 12 colonies. As presumed, all Valkyrie-class Battlestars were destroyed in the fall. During the Cylon's attack, the Battlestar Yushuman was also destroyed over Caprica, along with the other Valkyrie-class Battlestars. At least 7 Valkyrie-class Battlestars were destroyed during the fall of Scorpion Fleet shipyards. Richard C. Livingston produced early concept artwork of the Valkyrie class. Take a look at the concept artwork on screen. You can see the designs of the Valkyrie grow from an initial idea sketch to what it would become. Notes on the first sketch indicate how the Mercury-class Battlestar Pegasus will be about twice the size of the Valkyrie. Already Richard had an idea of the size of the Valkyrie when concepting it. Sketch 05 shows a breakaway design. This Valkyrie almost had a giant runway down her spine. If we zoom in and enhance, you can actually see the Battlestar Galactica turrets on the hull this time. One of the other sketches produced by Richard shows a close to its finished version of the Valkyrie. Here in the top image, we can see the design take shape to how we would see it in the series of Battlestar Galactica. A special thank you to the Battlestar.wiki team for collecting this artwork in one central place. You can use the link in the video description to visit their website. After Richard Livingston had designed the Valkyrie, CGI artist and compositor Pierre Drolet would go on to build and refine the model for its eventual appearance in the reimagined series of Battlestar Galactica. The exact introduction of the Valkyrie-class Battlestar is unclear in Battlestar's lore. For example, before the online series Blood and Chrome, it was widely believed that the Valkyrie class was the newest class of Battlestar introduced to the colonial fleet. Their small size influenced the thought process behind this. It mirrors a decrease in size and number of ships by the US Navy at the end of the Cold War. Also, their advanced technology, such as battery-fired missiles, influenced this idea. However, given the Valkyrie was present in the Ghost Fleet during the First Cylon War, this would mean the class had to be introduced in the First Cylon War, making it one of the oldest designs. But it does appear to be older than the Jupiter-class Battlestar, which is what the Battlestar Galactica belongs to. The reason we say this has to do with the TV series Caprica. This series is a prequel and set within the Battlestar Galactica reimagined continuity. Keen-eyed fans spotted a Valkyrie class in a blink and you'll miss it moment in the Caprica TV series, but fans at large appear to have not noticed this. You do have to watch carefully to actually see this. In episode 18 of Caprica Season 1, you can just see what appears to be a Valkyrie-class Battlestar hovering in the skies of a planet as a transport passes by the main screen. This suggests that the Valkyrie class was active much earlier than first expected. Theoretically, the Valkyrie class was introduced between 82 and 68 years before the fall of the 12 colonies. This would make the class somewhat active 30 to 17 years before the First Cylon War and the unification of the 12 colonies. The name Valkyrie has a rather exciting meaning, especially when you compare it to the story in which we find the Battlestar Valkyrie. A Valkyrie is a minor female deity who chooses the most heroic fallen warriors to ascend to Valhalla, where they await Ragnarok. In the series of Battlestar Galactica, Valkyrie is the third instance of Norse mythology being used. First was Ragnar's Station, which in itself is a reference to Ragnarok, aka the Twilight of the Gods. The story of Ragnarok parallels the career of William Adama. It would seem he was a one-time commander of the Valkyrie. Adama would be considered a fallen hero by the Colonial Admiralty, and then transferred to Galactica before the Cylon attack. With the fall of the colonies, he finds himself in the Battle of Ragnar Anchorage, the last battle in colonial space. Rather poetic when you put it like that. We'd like to say a big thank you to the Battlestar Galactica Fleet Commander mod team, who created a fantastic mod for the Homeworld Remastered Collection game. Go check them out via the link below. You can also vote on ModDB for Mod of the Year 2024. Today, we're once again talking about Battlestar Galactica. While we've previously analysed the likes of the Jupiter-class Battlestar, amongst others, today we're looking at every Battlestar class in Battlestar Galactica. The Colonial Fleet, while not seen much in the series, is a tough one, unless it comes down to hack software. So, let's see what these impressive designs actually are. Remember, for the latest videos, hit that subscribe button. While you're watching, let us know which Battlestar class you would prefer to command in the comments below. Oh, and if you enjoy these videos, consider hitting the join button and helping decide what ships we cover next. So say we all. The Artemis-class Battlestar design revolutionized the warship design philosophy of the 12 colonies. The Artemis-class design's impact can be seen even in the Mercury-class Battlestar. It would seem the origins of the Artemis currently make it one of the oldest and perhaps the first Battlestar design. This is because the class was created before the unification of the 12 colonies. Due to the age of the design, little is known about it. Visually, our only on-screen view of the Artemis-class Battlestar is in the series' final episode of BSG, Daybreak. During the all-hands report, you can see the Artemis-class displayed in Galactica's Cylon War Museum. We know the Battlestar class has 2 flight pods and 2 flight decks, which is the standard configuration of a colonial Battlestar. The Artemis class also appears in the Battlestar Galactica Deadlock game. The Deadlock developer team adapted the design of the Artemis from the original Battlestar TV series to make it fit into the game's continuity. This makes the Artemis represent the first Cylon War era designs. For example, the team switched out the original series energy weapons to ballistic weapons, as well as changed up the engine configuration. These are subtle changes that still respect the original design of the Battlestar. We're including the Orion class in our report list. While some regard the Orion class as a Battlestar, we prefer to think of this as an assault ship and not a Battlestar class design. Still, let's talk about it. For example, the design of the Orion class does not conform to the typical standards of a colonial Battlestar design. There is a large debate among the Battlestar community if the Orion class is actually a Battlestar. Given it does not conform to the design elements seen in the past, current or future designs of other Battlestar classes, we think this is up for debate, and it's definitely not a Battlestar. But if you disagree, comment down below. The Orion class assault ship came in at a length of 359.6 meters, with a width of 104.2 meters and a height of 111.9 meters. Designated as a support vessel, it features lighter armaments than a colonial Battlestar. As such, it carried 12 primary dual kinetic energy weapons and 42 secondary dual kinetic energy weapons. 6 missile tubes were also loaded on board. Defense-wise, the Orion class lacked the thick armor plating that other vessels typically used. However, at least one ship of the Orion class, the Osiris, was fitted with stealth technology. It's unclear if this was present on other ships of the Orion class or was perhaps a war refit. While not perfect, the stealth coating allowed the ships to operate for several minutes near Cylon Basestars and forces before being spotted. The trade-off of this system was increased heat within the ship, making for a less than ideal workspace for the Starship's crew. Once the Orion class stealth had been detected, the support ship was able to use its 32 quad-point defense KW batteries to produce flak screens against incoming fighter craft and ordnance. Due to the ship's size, it only had room for a small complement of Viper fighters. However, it was also able to carry several Raptor multi-purpose craft on board. No flight pods were installed. Instead, a traditional style hangar space was installed under the engine assembly of the Orion class. An example of the Orion class is the Osiris, which was seen in Battlestar Galactica Blood and Chrome. Commanded by Commander Ozar, the Osiris was a part of the Ghost Fleet and played a critical role in a secret colonial operation to mislead Cylon forces. During a mission to deliver Dr. Kelly to the ice planet of Djibril, the Osiris encountered a Cylon Basestar and engaged it. Due to sustaining critical damage, the Osiris could not deploy her nuclear weapons. To ensure the mission's success, Commander Ozar set a collision course with the Basestar and rammed the Osiris into it. Once crash landed into the Cylon Basestar, Ozar detonated the Osiris' nuclear weapons, destroying the Osiris, the Basestar, Raiders, and all remaining colonial Vipers in the vicinity. With the loss of the Osiris and the end of the First Cylon War, it seems the colonial fleet did not move to build any new Orion-class assault ships. Instead, the fleet moved to produce the likes of the Mercury-class and update the Valkyrie-class designs. One of the longest serving Battlestar classes is the Valkyrie-class Battlestar. Introduced initially around the time of the First Cylon War, as the Valkyrie is present as part of the Ghost Fleet mission, the class remained in service right up until the fall of the 12 colonies. The Valkyrie class even outlasted the legendary Jupiter-class Battlestar, which we'll discuss in a moment. We say this, as multiple Valkyrie classes can be seen defending the colonies during the fall. The Valkyrie-class Battlestar came in at a length of 649 meters, with a width of 234 meters and a height of 69 meters. While smaller than the likes of the Jupiter-class and the Mercury-class Battlestar designs, the whole layout of the Valkyrie-class remained in a similar design style. For example, it features the alligator head, then a midsection with the flight pods attached, followed by the aft section with a propulsion housing, where the main sublight engines were located along with the FTL drive. Despite being a pre-Cylon War era design, the flight pods of the Valkyrie-class do not retract like those found on Jupiter-class Battlestars. The Valkyrie also has significantly fewer launching capabilities than its larger counterparts in the fleet. While Battlestar designs like the Jupiter-class and the Mercury-class launch Vipers from their sides, the Valkyrie launches them head-on for quicker response times. Armament-wise, as a smaller Battlestar, the ships of the Valkyrie-class do not possess the heavy turrets typically seen on both the Jupiter-class and the Mercury-class. The Valkyrie design has several smaller turrets strategically placed throughout the ship. This turret type is complemented with multiple secondary and tertiary weapons to serve as a defense mechanism against incoming ordnance. The Valkyrie-class was equipped with a main armament consisting of 12 main kinetic energy weapon batteries and a secondary armament consisting of 4 single-gun KEWs, positioned on the dorsal sides of each flight pod. The Valkyrie-class design would also have anti-missile and anti-fighter protection in the form of 41 dual KW Seawiz batteries. While resembling the design of the primary batteries, they were smaller and strategically positioned on the vessel's hull. These batteries actually serve as a dual function. They would act as a standard kinetic weapons, typically found in the Jupiter-class, and a platform for launching colonial ship-to-ship missiles. The weapons were also placed between the sublight engines in a smart tactical choice. It allowed for near 360-degree protection coverage. While no exact number is known, the Valkyrie-class is expected to support multiple Viper fighters and Raptor multi-purpose craft squadrons. While taking part in the First Cylon War, the Valkyrie-class would have had Viper Mark II and Mark III fighters in service. By the time of the fall of the 12 colonies, the Mark VII Vipers would be in service on board Valkyrie Battlestars. Before the fall of the 12 colonies, the colonial fleet sought to upgrade the Valkyrie-class design. For example, they updated the design with a spoiler-like winglet hull section above the upper engine assembly. It's not entirely clear why this was added or what purpose it served. Two of these types of Valkyrie-class Battlestars exist and were spotted docked at Scorpion Fleet shipyards during the fall of the 12 colonies. It's possible this was a recent or not a popular design, as other Valkyrie ships active during the fall did not feature this new hull attachment. For a complete breakdown of a Valkyrie-class Battlestar and a more detailed overview of her systems and behind-the-scenes details, check out our full breakdown here on the Hangar Bay YouTube channel. The pride of the colonial fleet during the First Cylon War was the Jupiter-class Battlestar. Arguably, this is the Battlestar you think of when the word Battlestar is mentioned. The Jupiter-class Battlestar was the first class of Battlestars developed solely to combat the threat of the Cylons. The Jupiter line of Battlestars served valiantly throughout the First Cylon War, but unfortunately, only 3 of the initial 12 Battlestars survived the engagement. The class would survive the First Cylon War, and the colonial fleet would later build new Jupiter-class ships. At 1,438.6 meters long, 536.8 meters wide, and 183.3 meters high, the Battlestar design was regarded as a space-going Leviathan. The design of a Jupiter-class Battlestar can be broken down into 2 sections: the main hull and the twin flight pods for small craft deployment. The main hull comprised the bulk of the Battlestar design. We can divide this into 3 sections. The 4th section was known as the Alligator Head. This contained much of the living and crew areas. Locations such as the CIC, War Room, Observation Deck, and Pilot's Rec Room were located here. Sick Bay was also within this section, along with other facilities and numerous airlocks for access in and out of the Battlestar. Within the 4th section, the Battlestar also stored her main water tanks and water transfer hatches. The midsection of the Jupiter class housed the main flight decks and the flight pod retraction systems. There was also a service area for transferring fighters, like Vipers, from flight pod to pod. This section also housed the primary gun batteries, missile launch tubes, support systems, and corresponding ammunition stores. Finally, the stern section of the Battlestar would contain the engine room. Here, access to the engine pods and FTL drives were located. Some facilities allowed engineering and other access to maintain the Battlestar propulsion system. 2 retracting flight pods were mounted on either side of a Jupiter-class Battlestar. Each flight pod of a Jupiter-class is comprised of 2 main flight decks for flight operations. The upper deck is the landing bay. This extends the full length of the flight pod. The lower launch bays provide around 40 launch tubes per pod, so the Jupiter class has around 80 launch tubes at its disposal. The hangar deck is also located under the landing bay. This is where fighter maintenance is situated. The hangar deck can be used for refueling, repair, rearming, and launch operations. It also runs the length of the flight pod. The Jupiter class flight pods will also retract when the Battlestar commences an FTL jump, likely to also protect the fighter craft. Designed for war, the Jupiter class was heavily armed during the First Cylon War. In the original design configuration, anywhere between 24 to 40 anti-ship gun turrets were mounted 2 apiece on the hull. These are found on the dorsal and ventral surface of the main hull, as well as on the ventral surface of the bow. The 2 guns on each turret fire in tandem for maximum effect. These anti-ship turrets are somewhat effective against Cylon Basestars. While designed for anti-ship, the firearms can be used for both flak ammunition and high-explosive anti-capital ship shells. Each turret can engage in a barrage-style strategies and salvo fire. Meanwhile, 514-point defense turrets, again mounted 2 apiece, are located on the flight pods and other surfaces of the Battlestar. These are armed with explosive rounds in bursts to provide flak field defense for the Battlestar. Located in the dorsal main hull are 12 launch tubes, which can carry multiple nuclear warheads. The Jupiter class also considered Vipers and Raptors as part of her arsenal. While initially using the Mark II Vipers, the Mark VII Vipers remain compatible with the Jupiter class launch and recovery facilities. Designed with endurance in mind, the Jupiter class could operate away from the colonial fleet and resupply facilities for quite some time. The Battlestar has on board water purification capabilities. Without emergencies, the Jupiter class can operate for several years without having to replenish her water supplies. The Battlestar also appears to have ammunition assembly capabilities within her armory. The ships potentially have a small fabrication facility on board. This endurance-focused design also stretched to the hull design. For example, a Jupiter-class Battlestar, like the Battlestar Galactica, is shown to continue operating even after sustaining a massive amount of damage. This is evidenced by the Battlestar Galactica's continued effectiveness at defending her civilian fleet after the fall of the 12 colonies. Even after a deadly atmospheric FTL jump, and then being in a heavily damaging space battle, the Galacticas proved the Jupiter-class design was built to last. Unlike other pre-Cylon War era designs, the Jupiter-class Battlestar was uniquely designed with unnetworked computer systems. This was done to prevent Cylon infiltration via software hacking. It would seem the Colonial Fleet had constructed new Jupiter-class Battlestars before the fall of the 12 colonies. For example, during the fall, we see one destroyed Jupiter-class with Mark 7 Vipers around it. While the fleet may have moved towards more Valkyrie and Mercury-class designs, it seems the Jupiter-class never really fell out of favour. For a complete breakdown of a Jupiter-class Battlestar and a more detailed overview on her systems and behind-the-scenes details, check out our full breakdown here on the Hangar Bay YouTube channel. We'd consider the Mercury-class the apex of Battlestar design within the Colonial Fleet. The most modern Battlestar class has also appeared to be the most costly design for the Colonial Fleet, and for good reason too. The Mercury-class was among the last Battlestar designs constructed by the 12 colonies. Only the Battlestar Pegasus has been seen on screen, though we can presume that at least some of the Mercury-class Battlestars were active within the Colonial Fleet. Perhaps not to the extent of the Valkyrie-class, but at least a few. Designed as a capital warship and carrier, the Mercury-class Battlestar was a top-of-the-line vessel by the time of the fall of the 12 colonies. At 1,789.8 meters long, it dwarfed the older Jupiter-type Battlestars. A Mercury-class crew consisted of around 2,500 personnel. There was also space for both passengers and colonial marines. 8 sublight engines propelled the Battlestar. These massive engines were located at the rear of the ship and attached to the outer hull. They were grouped together in clusters of 4 along the ventral and dorsal surface of the hull. Mercury classes also feature maneuvering thrusters placed at key points throughout the ship. For example, 2 main thrusters on the forward section of the hull. A Mercury class would also sport a top-of-the-line faster-than-light drive consistent with other advanced systems. As a new generation of Battlestar design, the computer systems of the Mercury class were top of the line. The Battlestar came with the advanced computer systems, including the Command Navigation Program, developed by Dr. Gaius Baltar. This was designed to assist in advanced navigation techniques. Unfortunately, this program proved to be a virus and allowed the Cylons to gain command access over a Battlestar. The Mercury class featured 34 automated gun turrets, mounted 2 apiece. These were installed and distributed all over the ship. The greatest concentration of large turrets was found along the side of a Battlestar, within the valley created by the upper and lower halves of the hull. They were also mounted along the flight pods. The Battlestar's bow also features 4 anti-ship guns mounted on the underside of the upper hull. This was then added to 4 non-turreted large guns below, which made up the ship's primary batteries. A total of 6 turrets were mounted on each underside of the hull structure, known as the alligator head. These turrets are grouped in pairs for optimal firing effect. To protect the fighters and small craft, a Mercury class had 3 turrets on each side of a flight pod and 2 more turrets mounted on the front and back of each flight pod. As such, there are 34 main gun batteries. In comparison to a Jupiter-class Battlestar, the Mercury-class had a higher rate of fire when operating in flak mode. To complement the anti-ship guns, the Battlestar was also fitted with numerous smaller point defense turrets, which could be found between hull plates. Missile tubes were also installed on the ship. Small craft-wise, a Mercury-class could carry around 186 Mark 7A and Mark 7B Viper fighters, comprised of 8 squadrons and 2 reserve squadrons. These were color-coded in blue, red, green, yellow, orange, purple, black, white, and then gold and silver for the reserve squadrons. The Battlestar was fitted with 74 launch tubes. Interestingly, the Mercury class was also equipped with Raptor launch tubes. The Mercury class was designed with production facilities on board to allow the ship to operate longer away from a resupply base. As such, the Battlestar could build new Viper Mark 7s from basic resources. Of course, this only works if the ship had the resources available in the first place. The Mercury class's flight pod design set it apart from its predecessor. This Battlestar sported double-stacked flight pods. As such, 4 flight pods were installed on Mercury class ships. These pods were newer and more advanced. 2 dorsal and 2 ventral pods had advanced gravity systems installed to keep them in sync. As such, Vipers and Raptors could land both right side up and upside down in relation to the Battlestar. In terms of the design, the dual pod approach allowed for greater recovery of Vipers during combat. The Battlestar's hangar deck and launch tubes were located in between the right side up and upside down flight decks. The layout of its hangar deck and launch tube design was kept similar to that of a Jupiter-type Battlestar. While advanced, the launch tubes could still launch older Colonial Vipers, such as the Mark IIs. Unlike a Jupiter-class Battlestar, these flight pods do not retract and are kept stationary. This allows the Mercury class to jump out of a battle zone faster than their older counterparts. The Colonial Fleet introduced the Mercury-class during the interwar period, and the design was intended to replace the aging Jupiter-class eventually. The Battlestar design provided upgrades in virtually every category, including enhanced fighter carrying capacity to overall firepower. Many of these upgrades have been demonstrated by the Battlestar Pegasus. For a complete breakdown of the Mercury-class Battlestar and a more detailed overview on her systems and behind the scenes details, check out our full breakdown here on the Hangar YouTube channel. Throughout the modern history of the Battlestar Galactica, other designs of the colonial Battlestars have appeared in various media. For example, the comic book from Battlestar Galactica that explores the adventures of the Battlestar Pegasus. It features some different designs to what we've seen before. We will explore them another time as the designs are a little bit out there. As we conclude the video, we'd like to thank the developers of Battlestar Galactica Fleet Commander and the Battlestar.wiki team. Today, we're talking about what is perhaps the best class of Battlestar within the Colonial Fleet. The Mercury-class Battlestar was represented by the Battlestar Pegasus in a reimagined series of Battlestar Galactica. As such, we'll be focusing on that ship and the general class today. Remember, for the latest videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let us know what you think of this ship in the comments below. Designed as a capital warship and a carrier, the Mercury-class Battlestar was a top-of-the-line vessel by the time of the fall of the 12 colonies. At 1,789.8 meters long, it dwarfed the older Jupiter-type Battlestars. The Mercury-class crew consisted of around 2,500 personnel. There was also space for both passengers and colonial marines. The layout of the Battlestar's hull was as expected of a colonial military design. The fore section, known as the Alligator Head, contained much of the living and crew areas. The Battlestar's CIC was also located here. The midsection contained flight decks, production facilities, and aircraft service areas. Finally, the stern section contained the engine pods, FTL drives, and engineering facilities to keep the Battlestar operational. 8 sublight engines propelled the Battlestar. These massive engines were located at the rear of the ship and attached to the outer hull. They were grouped together in clusters of 4 along the ventral and dorsal surfaces of the hull. Mercury-classes also featured maneuvering thrusters placed at key points throughout the ship. For example, 2 main thrusters on the forward section of the hull. The Mercury-class would sport a top-of-the-line faster-than-light drive, consistent with other advanced systems. As a new generation of Battlestar design, the computer systems of the Mercury-class were top of the line. Battlestar came with advanced computer systems, including the Command Navigation Program, developed by Dr. Gareth Boltar. This was designed to assist in advanced navigation techniques. Unfortunately, this program turned out to be a virus and allowed the Cylons to gain command access over the Battlestar. Thankfully, at least one Mercury-class escaped this fate. As a Battlestar, the Mercury-class was heavily armed. It featured 34 automated anti-ship gun turrets, which were mounted 2 apiece. They were installed and distributed all over the ship. The greatest concentration of large turrets was found along the side of the Battlestar, within the valley created by the upper and lower halves of the hull. These were also mounted along the flight pods. The Battlestar's bow also featured 4 anti-ship guns mounted on the underside of the upper hull. This was then added to 4 non-turreted large guns below, which made up the ship's primary batteries. A total of 6 turrets were mounted on each underside of the hull structure, known as the Alligator Head. These turrets are also grouped in pairs for optimal firing effect. To protect the fighters and small craft, a Mercury-class had 3 turrets on each side of a flight pod, and 2 more turrets mounted on the front and back of each flight pod. As such, there are 34 main gun batteries in total. In comparison to a Galactica-type Battlestar, the Mercury-class had a higher rate of fire when operating in flak mode. To complement the anti-ship guns, the Battlestar was also fitted with numerous smaller point defense turrets, which could be found between hull plating. Missile tubes are also installed on the ship. Small craft-wise, a Mercury-class would carry around 200 Mark 7 Viper fighters, comprised of 8 squadrons and 2 reserve squadrons. These were colour-coded in blue, red, green, yellow, orange, purple, black, white, and then gold and silver for the reserve squadrons. The Battlestar Pegasus demonstrated this. This type of Battlestar could also carry 50 Raptors on board as well. The Mercury-class was also designed with production facilities on board to allow the ship to operate longer away from a resupply base. As such, the Battlestar could build new Viper Mark 7s from basic resources. Of course, this only works if the ship had the resources available in the first place. The Mercury-class's flight pod design set it apart from its predecessor. This Battlestar sported double-stacked flight pods. As such, 4 flight pods were installed on the Mercury-class ships. These pods were newer and more advanced. 2 dorsal and 2 ventral pods had advanced gravity systems installed to keep them in sync. As such, Vipers and Raptors could land both right side up and upside down in relation to the Battlestar. In terms of the design, the dual pod approach allowed for greater recovery of Vipers during combat. The Battlestar's hangar deck and launch tubes were located in between the right side up and upside down flight decks. The layout of its hangar deck and launch tube design was kept similar to that of a Jupiter-type Battlestar. While advanced, the launch tubes could still launch older colonial Vipers such as the Mark IIs. Unlike a Jupiter-class Battlestar, these flight pods did not retract and are kept stationary. This allows the Mercury-class to jump out of a battle zone faster than their older counterparts. The Mercury-class was introduced some years following the first Cylon War. The goal for the fleet was to replace the now aging Jupiter-class Battlestars, like the Battlestar Galactica. As such, the Mercury-class was built with new technology, which also relied on more automation. It became one of the most largest and most formidable ships ever deployed by the colonial fleet. During the fall of the 12 colonies, nearly all Mercury-class Battlestars were destroyed when they fell victim to the command navigation program. The Cylons accessed the program and used it to shut down any Battlestar utilizing it. The backdoor allowed them to cause the ships to lose power effectively. As such, many Mercury-class Battlestars were destroyed without even firing a shot in the battles. Thankfully, the Battlestar Pegasus managed to survive the fall of the colonies. It was being upgraded at Scorpion Fleet shipyards during the Cylon invasion. The 3-month system overhaul took several computer systems offline, including the command navigation program. As such, the ship was still operational during the attack. Commanding officer, Rear Admiral Helena Kane, ordered the ship to jump to FTL. The Mercury-class Battlestar successfully made an emergency jump and escaped the destruction of the shipyards. Pegasus survived the initial assault and, under the ruthless leadership of Admiral Kane, would ransack civilian fleets of their supplies. Kane also viewed passenger lists of surviving civilian ships and conscripted civilians into military service to ensure her Battlestar would remain operational. With pushback from the families, Kane ordered her officers to shoot anyone who resisted. Going one step further, Kane stripped the civilian ships of food, supplies, and even their FTL drives and left them to the Cylons, or death in space. The Battlestar Pegasus continued a series of hit-and-run attacks against Cylon bases and ships for a while. Months after the fall of the 12 colonies, Pegasus began tracking a large Cylon fleet moving from system to system, leaving behind natural resources. Pegasus calculated and jumped ahead of their next projected course to figure out what they were doing. In a surprise, the Mercury-class Battlestar Pegasus would meet the Jupiter-class Battlestar Galactica, which had survived the fall of the colonies with a small civilian fleet it was protecting. Intending to bolster supplies and forces again, Admiral Kane takes command of a fleet from William Adama. However, this does not go as smoothly as intended. At this point, Pegasus is often referred to as the Beast when compared to Galactica. The Battlestar Pegasus would go on missions with some of Galactica's personnel. One immediate mission was to locate and destroy a Cylon resurrection ship. After a bit of a falling out with Commander Adama of the Battlestar Galactica, Pegasus almost fires on the friendly ship. This ceasefire is called, and both ships work together to take out the Cylon resurrection ship. The mission is a success, dealing a crippling blow to Cylon forces. Unfortunately, Admiral Kane is murdered by an escaped Cylon prisoner. Commander Jack Fisk is installed as Pegasus' newest commander. Fisk is eventually killed due to a black market dealing. The next commander, Barry Gardner, is also killed in action. As such, newly promoted Admiral Adama promotes his son, Lee Adama, to the rank of commander, who takes command of Pegasus. The ship is seen as a bit of a bad luck charm at this point. The last Mercury-class Battlestar would come to an end above New Caprica. During a battle of New Caprica, Commander Lee Adama brings the Battlestar Pegasus and a skeleton crew to aid the Battlestar Galactica, who went by themselves to free the civilians of the planet. Lee has left most of Pegasus' air wing protecting the fleet of civilian ships, having been ordered initially to keep Pegasus back. However, Pegasus' arrival meant the Galactica survived the onslaught of Cylon firepower. As Galactica made her escape, Pegasus made her last stand. The Mercury-class had already destroyed one of the Cylon Basestars with its forward batteries. The Battlestar suffered severe damage due to no protection from its air wing. As such, the crew abandoned ship and set Pegasus on an automatic collision course with a Cylon Basestar. With the crew evacuated by Raptor and safely jumping away, the mortally damaged and now unmanned Battlestar Pegasus rams an attacking Cylon Basestar, successfully destroying both vessels. In one last act of defiance, the Mercury-class Pegasus flight pod, blown away from the hull explosion, collides with another Cylon Basestar, destroying it along with several Cylon raiders. As Pegasus was destroyed, her remaining fighters and Raptors, along with the crew, were eventually integrated into the Battlestar Galactica's forces. The last Mercury-class Battlestar successfully protected humanity that day. The shape of the Mercury-class actually resembles the original Battlestar design, closer than the reimagined series Galactica. You can see this with the comparison on screen. There are 8 engine pods compared to Galactica's 6. Also, the pods on the Mercury-class appear more integrated with the rear section. The flight pods also share the original angular shaped design. Jose A. Perez, who was the visual effects artist of the reimagined Battlestar Pegasus, previously commented that the new Pegasus design was a cross between the look of the original Battlestar but with the elements of the new one. For example, Pegasus has more hull plating than Galactica, which has less and shows more ribbing. Perez also noted that the harder edges on Pegasus intentionally match the interior style more. The Battlestar Pegasus actually had brand new sets for her appearance in the Battlestar Galactica Reimagined series. There was a fun story behind this. David Icke, who was an executive producer on the show, revealed that the production team circumvented the limited production budget of an episodic television series. A year beforehand, Icke and showrunner Ronald D. Moore had purchased the abandoned set of a failed pilot of Fox's Lost in Space remake. It turns out the production team held onto these sets, hoping to find a use for them. With the introduction of Pegasus, the production team radically redesigned the abandoned sets and painted them to give them the aesthetic look of Galactica, but sleeker and more advanced. So that's the complete breakdown of the Mercury-class Battlestar. Pegasus was a fantastic addition to the reimagined Battlestar Galactica series, and I'll never forget that fantastic battle of New Caprica. Don't forget to check out our other videos on the ships from the science fiction universes. That's the end of this video. I've been Captain Jack in the Hangar Bay. Remember, if you're talking about science fiction, we want to hear about it.